We're going to go ahead and call this meeting to order. It's 6:31. Please rise and join me in the pledge to our flag. I
pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay, let the record show all board members are present and accounted for. And no action was taken in closed session. At this point, I'll entertain a motion to adopt the agenda.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and seconded. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Now move on to communications. Members of the public may address the Board of Trustees regarding any special board meeting agenda item during board consideration of that item. Please note that if you wish to address the Board of Trustees on an agenda item, you should do so when that specific item is called for by the board president. In order to speak, if you are present to comment in person, please fill out a request to be heard card and to give it to the board assistant. Your name will be called during the public comment agenda item. During that agenda item, comments are limited to 2 minutes. If you would like to comment via Assembly Gamut meetings, enter your name and email address, and the board assistant will provide your comment to the board. And if you want to comment via YouTube, do so by commenting in the live chat, and the board assistant will share your comment with the board as appropriate. Now is the time for individuals to address the board on items that are not on the agenda. Please note that because it is not an agendized item, we cannot take action on it, but please do know that we were listening, and we will do what we can to address your concerns at the appropriate time. Is there anyone who would like to address the board on an item that is not on the agenda this evening? And no comments online. All right, so we'll go ahead and we will now move forward to reports. And we will start with Robla Education Foundation.
Notice a shorter distance. Anyways, good news. I'm not stressing this year because I've actually got the full staff on the schedule sheet.
Way to go, Robla.
First time we've accomplished that, so I don't have to scramble during the week. But you will have to be there every night still.
Yes, this I know.
I don't want to jinx it, but my weather app says we're going to have a good week.
Yes.
So that's all we have for tonight. Hopefully everybody else will be able to keep their reports as short.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. I second that emotion. Okay, Robla Teachers Association. CSEA. Superintendent's report.
I will keep mine short. Just 3 things. We had summer school start this month. Freedom School and ESY started on June 15th, and then our academic and enrichment started on this Monday, past Monday on June 22nd. I'm happy to announce that for the 26-27 school year, we will enter into a partnership with Colgate with their Bright Smiles, Bright Future program. Similar to our mobile health van, we will have a mobile dental van, all free of charge.
Oh, that's really good.
Yes. And just a reminder that we will have our district back to school event in partnership with United Way on Tuesday, August 11th. More information to come when we finalize all the details. That's the end of my report.
All right, now move on to board member reports. Start with Trustee Devine.
Nothing at this time.
Trustee Cardona.
Nothing to report.
Trustee Barnes.
Nothing to report.
Trustee Hamilton Starks.
Nothing to report.
And, well, I have nothing to report. So, moving right along. So far, we're doing well. We're going to move on to consent agenda.
Thank you for giving me the opportunity. We are implementing a new practice with the consent agenda items. We have some regular consent items such as personnel, special ed, minutes, but I'm adding two two sections, D and E. These contracts, D are contracts that are under 15,000 and E are contracts over 15,000. And these contracts are for partnership services that we have that are normally recurring every year or previously approved, and we're adding services or scope. Can I go through as any? Okay, oops, okay. So for example, I'll just go through it. For the two items that are under 15,000, the first one, D1, is E-rate, and that's our discount, telecommunication discount program. D2 is GLAD. We previously approved contracts for GLAD with Bell, Taylor, and Robla. And this contract is for, to add Main Avenue, who will also be attending and participating in GLAD training. The E sections are contracts that are over 15,000. The first one is Equitas, and this is our student information system. E2 is Nature Bridge, and this is the yearly sixth grade science camp that our main students attend. E3 is Hazel Health, and that's our telehealth services. E4 and E5 are our substitute services that we use every year. E6 is our audit services. We have to renew them every 2 years. E7 is facilities consulting. We just approved the 5-year facilities master plan. So this is continuing with facilities consultant to start on those projects. And then E8 is an ELOP provider. We previously approved Right at School to provide enrichment services at Bell Avenue. And we previously approved 200 students. We know that we've already had 216 attend, and so we are asking to increase that by 40 students.
So generally what happens is consent agenda items are items that are generally non-controversial, so they generally don't need debate. If there is an item that, for example, if there's someone in the public who wants to comment on an item, please submit the card, because then we can remove that item from the consent agenda and then we can discuss it. So it doesn't mean that these items can't be discussed, but they have to be removed from the consent agenda item in order to do so. I know that's generally how consent is gone. I know this is a little bit different as we're adding these. So once again, if there's something that someone feels they want to have a conversation about, or at least want to make comments on, please do us a favor, let us know before we approve the consent agenda.
And thank you very much, both of you, for explaining all that, because as you know, I'm really big on making sure that the public understands exactly what we do. And a lot of times we do these repetitive things that people just don't really see or know. So I really appreciate the explanation for the public so that they really understand that, we're being transparent. These are just repetitive things.
Okay, with that, I will entertain a motion to approve the consent agenda.
So moved.
Second.
It's been moved and second, and all those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed, abstentions, motion carries unanimously. Okay, now we will go on to presentations and information, and we'll start with the 2025-26 California Dashboard Local Measures Update.
Good evening, everyone. Hope you're having a nice evening. This is part of the full local control accountability plan process. So tonight we're going to start with the local measures, and then we'll move into our LCAP and budget. Okay. So part of the requirement under the local control accountability plan is that you have a presentation on what are called the local measures, which are part of the California School Dashboard. And this presentation is looking at the local measures, which are called apply to state priority areas. So districts have 8 state priority areas within the LCAP. I'm going to refer to the LCAP instead of the local control accountability plan. There are 2 additional ones that are for county offices, but for school districts, there are 8 priority areas. And some of these areas are not reflected by data that we receive from, say, for example, CAST assessment, chronic absenteeism, that type of things. Some of these priority areas, you have to use either a self-reflection tool, or there's another way that the California Department of Ed will allow you to do like a narrative. We use the self-reflection tool provided by the California Department of Ed for the majority of the priority areas that we cover. So this presentation is going to give you an overview of how we did on the priority areas and the standards within those priority areas. And as I said, part of the process is to report these results to the public through the dashboard. Once we report this to you as our board, this information gets uploaded into the dashboard. On the dashboard, it'll show either met or not met in regards to local priorities. So priority one, the first priority I want to talk about, this is one that we actually have 3 areas. So it's the facilities inspection, which we use the FIT tool to look at our rating. Classroom materials, which is the Williams review, and then the teacher misassignment. There are new rules regarding teacher misassignment. This data now is put into the dashboard by the state of California, by CalPADS data. So our data is uploaded through CalPADS. One thing to note on the teacher misassignment, currently this data is 2 years behind. So our dashboard often is, we're looking at 1 year in the rear. We're looking at CASP scores. For example, next year we'll be looking at CASP scores for the 25-26 school year. This teacher misassignment data, the most up-to-date data available is the 23-24 data.
Real quick, can you explain teacher misassignment for folks, and then maybe help us understand why are we getting the data like 2 years late?
Right. Okay, so teacher misassignment data, what this is looking at is it's saying, how are each school district doing in providing teachers who are fully credentialed, fully prepared to teach in a classroom? And that's when it says clear credential. That means the teacher holds the federal requirement for being a teacher in that classroom or in that instructional setting. So an example is that the federal government, when they look at teacher misassignment and they recognize they're actually looking at changing the name from teacher misassignment to a different title because it kind of has a negative connotation when you're saying how many teachers are misassigned instead of how are you doing in providing fully credentialed teachers. But in the federal, for example, we have PE teachers. Our PE teachers under this rule are misassigned because they don't all hold single subject physical education credentials. But within California rules, in California laws, they're teaching in a multi-subject setting, so they're credentialed within California.
Mhm.
Make sense?
But this is based on the federal standard.
This is based on federal.
Okay.
Yeah. So we used to report this from our local data that I would work with the director of personnel to say, hey, where are we? How are we doing in terms of how our teachers are credentialed? And then from there, we would upload our current information. But what the state decided is they wanted to go through the CalPAD system, and they're just delayed in being able to have the most current data. They're working towards it, but right now, we still have 23-24. It has to do with the kind of the timing of when the data gets reported into CalPADS, and then it goes to the state to be able to be put into the dashboard. That's why it's 23-24. It's not within our control. The state is trying to make this a more efficient so that it aligns with everything else. Where currently this year we're looking at 24-25 data on the dashboard. We would have 24-25 as well for teacher assignment, but they're just not there yet. Okay. So I'm going backwards through the bullets a little bit, but so the teacher misassignment, you'll see that for our district, our LEA, that's our local educational agency, this is Robla, we have 76.3% hold a clear teaching credential according to federal regulations. And as you can see, compared to the county and the state, we're a little bit less. But again, we also have teachers that are working in specialized settings, for example, physical education, art, and music, that meet the requirements for California, but not for federal.
Part of that, the ones that don't meet are also, for example, interns?
So interns actually, they still meet if they're in a program. Ms. Sullivan, help me if I say this wrong, or do you want to come explain it a little better? She's got the nuances of this better than I do.
Yeah, this is a tricky one. And one thing I'd like to share is that when we look at 26, 27 with some of the staffing changes that we had, our single subject credential holders, so our PE and our art and music programs, will actually now have single subject holders. So that'll actually increase the percentage to be more in compliance with the federal standards because we've hired some new people that hold those. So that'll adjust it for the coming school year. But in terms of teacher interns, so there's two different classifications of internships, technically three. There's a PIP or a provisional internship permit, or a STIP, which is a short-term staff internship permit. And those permits are allowable under California law, and they allow a teacher to take on as teacher of record in a general education setting or other settings, depending on what their qualifications are under their bachelor's degree, okay? That means that they are in the process of getting into an internship program. They just haven't either met the deadline to get into one, but they meet all of the other qualifications to be a teacher in terms of their bachelor's, and then some of the testing that's required. And so it allows us to place them in that general ed setting under that either PIP or STIP, and they can have each of those types of permits for up to 1 year each. So it could be a 2-year cycle for that individual. And then once they get into an internship program, then they now meet the federal requirement once they're in an internship program, or if they've done their student teaching and now have their preliminary credential. Okay, so when we do have a few folks that are on their PIP or their STIP, but they are doing quite well in the placement, and we provide a lot of support for them with mentors and other areas.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Thank you. In regards to any other questions regarding the teacher misassignment? Classroom materials, this is the Williams review. This is where they're looking at our school sites and ensuring that we have enough materials for each student has their own textbooks and what have you. We're 100% compliant in that one. Facilities inspection tool, also part of the Williams review. And in order to have a standard met under priority 1, you need a rating of good overall for all of your school sites, which we do meet this requirement as well.
What are the other ratings?
The other ratings, there is an excellent rating, there's a fair, and there's a poor. We do have little things that might be in the fair, like, for example, I have one school site, and I can't remember off the top of my head, something to do with their countertops. So something, they notice something needs to be fixed on the countertops. We've had a couple of other little things in the past. We had some leaking one time at Taylor Street School, and that was this needs to be repaired. But when they look at the whole report overall for the school site, all of the school sites met the good. So there's 4 ratings: 4, fair, good, and excellent. Okay. Priority 2, I have quite a few slides on priority 2 because this is a self-reflection tool that has a number of questions where you're looking at your curriculum. Okay, so this is looking at professional learning towards the curriculum, the types of curriculum you're using, if you're using curriculum that meets California state standards or California approved curriculum aligned with the California standards, curriculum frameworks. So ELA is English Language Arts, LD is English Language Development, the rest are self-explanatory. This is a scale of 1 to 5 in these areas. And you can see on the bottom here, I have what the rating scale is and what each level is. Full implementation of sustainability means that we are fully implemented in terms of we have adopted curriculum that meets the standards and the curriculum, California curriculum framework. Slide 2 is the implementation of California state standards again, but this time it's looking at the instructional materials that are aligned. And again, we have, in most parts, we have a 5. The reason there's a 4 on math is because we're preparing for math adoption. So our current math program is a little bit older, and we're trying to move into a more fully aligned with the new math framework. Policies and programs to support staff. With our PLSTs, our professional learning days, we meet the standards for making sure that we're providing enough professional learning, that all teachers understand the curriculum and how to utilize the curriculum. This area here is where we have some lower numbers. Some of it has to do with the fact that we're an elementary school and kind of what the definition is. For example, with the career technical education, this is a much more high school oriented kind of component. Not that you can't have things at the elementary level. So for example, I feel like next year I'll be able to rate us higher on this career technical education because, for example, the addition of a STEAM position, that can lead more towards the understanding and the guiding students in the area of STEAM, engineering, mathematics. Also, we have some clubs that started up this year. We had a video club. We had some other after-school clubs that teachers did that would also help us raise our score on this career technical education. So I put us in the beginning development stage in terms of this area. And again, this is a self-reflection tool. So this was my reflection on our district.
So for something like career technical education, are you saying that we get to define what would be a great program and then grade ourselves within it? Or is there a definition of what we should be doing for career technical education?
So that's why I say this is difficult for the elementary because when the way that the rubric is written, it's written for K-12.
Mm-hmm.
And so it's hard to say, where are we as a K-6 in this bigger picture of the definition that's on the rubric?
So there's no definition for K-6 anywhere that?
Nope. There's nothing that says this is what we would be looking for in K-6.
Okay.
Health education here again, I have 3 initial implementation. Part of that is because there are some new health education standards that are out there that our nurse I know has been looking into. We also have had some changeover in our physical education program, which some of our health education happens through our physical education program. So we're at a 3 in the initial implementation because we're looking at those changes that we need to make with the new health education standards. Visual and performing arts with our art teacher and our music teachers. We're doing very well there. World language, I left it at a 4 and not a full implementation of sustainability because I still feel like there's work to be done with our dual language immersion program for it to be a fully aligned program that truly is teaching 2 languages and truly building 2 world languages. Plus, we're also looking again at, as I mentioned, about some more clubs for the sites that don't have a dual immersion program to help implement world language on the other 4 campuses. And we're still in priority 2. There are teachers and school administrators. Again, we have a pretty robust professional learning program. We're professional learning with our professional learning communities, our weekly, monthly meetings, our professional learning days. So we're doing here quite well, I would say here. And that's all of priority 2. Any questions on priority 2? I always write myself notes and then never look at them. 1 second to catch up to myself. Okay, priority 3 is parent engagement. Parent engagement, we have 2 tools that we use. We use our school climate survey that goes out to our family, or source this going forward this year. And last year, for some of our student group, not for our parent group, is Kelvin. It's an educational platform designed for climate surveys. And then we also utilize our meetings like our English language advisory committees, our parent advisory committees to gain feedback from our educational partners, as well as other things that the school sites are doing. And at board meetings, we get feedback from our partners. So in this area, I believe that we have met this criteria. So the rubric is a little different here. It's just more of giving a narrative of the things that you're doing, and this is my narrative. The next priority that needs to be addressed in a self-reflection or is not part of the dashboard coming from data is priority 6, school climate. Again, we use Kelvin with our students. This was interesting this year because, as you can see on the first bullet and the last bullet on perception of student physical and psychological safety, we had a 30% increase in positive responses. And then when you looked at students feeling a valued member of their school community and feeling connected, again, an 11% increase. However, bullet 2, we saw an 8% decrease in our 3rd through 6th grade students feeling that their school had an anti-bullying climate. So that was interesting. And we have something we're working towards for that. So one of the things I think that we had this decrease is we had some social emotional learning curriculum that was available online, as well as we had some physical materials. We did not renew that contract this year for the online component. School sites have requested that we look at other social emotional learning curriculum, and you'll see later on the agenda, there is a piece of curriculum that we're looking at to implement next year or to pilot next year in terms of moving away from what we had previously had to this other resource. Okay. So hopefully we'll see that number go back up again with some training on some new social emotional learning curriculum.
Now, have we seen a correlating increase in incidents of reported bullying or discipline because of bullying?
I have not seen anything or heard in principal meetings regarding this. I think that would be a better question for principals to respond to because it hasn't come across my desk. But I do know that the curriculum that we have a lot of newer staff that didn't have the initial trainings with it. And one of the reasons we did not renew the contract for the online portion of it and just kept with the physical materials was it was quite expensive and it wasn't being utilized enough. And so last year, when we had the conversations, we knew we were going to be looking at other materials, other curriculum to potentially either stay with what we had, which was second step, or to move it to a different resource. And we've decided to move into this other resource you're going to find called Wayfinder.
Okay, I'm sorry. Okay. So, okay, this past year has been different. It's a year where, you know, the very definition of bullying has kind of changed. Well, it has changed dramatically.
Mm-hmm.
So I'm curious about this 8% decrease because I'm curious about how we have taken that into account, or if that has been taken into account. The fact that, you know, over the past year, we had to react to a lot of things that we never had to react to in the past. So does it take that into account? And if not, is there anything that we can do about this?
Well, one thing I know about the curriculum that we had before, the anti-bullying units were only in 5th and 6th grade. It wasn't in the lower grades. The new piece, Wayfinder, has a very specific section that's about anti-bullying in terms of lessons. The way that the questions are asked, you know, it's hard to interpret, you know, like, why do students, I feel like we'd have to do more research at looking at, like, perhaps what grade level brought this number. Like, was this increase at a specific grade level? Was it at a specific school site? To try to get a sense of why this number went down. So yeah, I don't think I really answered your question, but I know that I can.
But I wasn't really expecting a solid answer because, like I said, it's a year where things were being redefined. So I think that this is something where we have to work on it to prepare for next year because we didn't anticipate a lot of what happened last year. I'm not saying at this side, I'm saying all over.
Right. How much of just the environment, world environment plays into the results that comes
Yes.
school environment.
Yeah, one of the challenges whenever you do a survey is not necessarily based on what happens, but it's based on people's perception, in this case, the student's perception. Students' perception could be could be affected by whether or not there's actually been bullying. It could be whether or not there was an emphasis in the kind of workshops and lessons plans that they've been having. There are tons of things that could go into whether or not. My main concern is making sure that there's not an increase in actual bullying that's taking place that causes them to feel that decrease. If they feel that way because there was less of an emphasis in some of the lesson plans and curriculum, that would be explained, which, well, like you said, would explain why we're going in a different direction in regards to the material or the programs that we're using.
Right.
I'm also wondering if you think there's a correlation between like their perception about school safety and their perception about their feelings about how they feel valued and a part of the community. If that is, if you can see a correlation between like attendance and more students wanting to come to school because they feel more valued and are part of the community.
So you would say, like, for example, we'd see increase in or decrease in chronic absenteeism, increase in attendance. Attendance is staying pretty flat. It's moved slightly, actually not in the positive direction. It's actually slightly lower from our preliminary look at attendance for this year. Our chronic absenteeism is way better. That's moving in the right direction. I think there can be some of that, but also too this year too, as Trustee Barnes alluded to, we had some issues with attendance in regards to families being concerned about the safety of their children and leaving their homes. And we know we dealt with that. So some of that might have played into it. I think the most important thing is the school sites need to look at, are there specific incidences on their site that brought this information up to them in a different way? So for example, Glenwood might see the culprit to a decrease in the number of students feeling that they have a anti-bullying climate because of AB, but Main Avenue might have said, well, we know this happened, this was happening at our site. That might be the reason for. So I think it really comes down to each school site really digging deeper into their data and their circumstances and what might have brought that up. And also too, this is a snapshot in time. So if there was, classes did this after lunch recess and there was an incident at lunch recess, that's what's first and foremost in their mind at the time that they're doing this. And they're like, no, bullying's happening, right? And it might have been that one incident happened right before they did the survey. We'd like to hope it's that simple, right? But you have to do more digging to know for sure.
Thank you.
Okay, and then priority 7, access to a broad course of study. Again, this is one where it's not so much of a rating, but some questions in regards to that we respond to in regards to what are we doing within our district to try to make sure that our students have a broad course of study. I bulleted the things here that I feel like help us meet this criteria. For example, we have after-school tutoring sessions for our students. We have after-school sport programs. We had soccer and added volleyball this year. Our 4th through 6th grade students have access to playing a musical instrument through our partnership with Sac State. Students with exceptional needs receive access both through special academic instruction, intervention, and in the inclusion, as well as our summer school model. I don't know why tonight I'm reading from the bottom up. I apologize. I just seem to be reading from the bottom up tonight. And then our English language development to help them meet the needs of our multi-language learners. And this is more regarding priority 7 and talking about, additionally, we have our Spanish dual immersion program that broadens our course of study for our students, which is preschool through 6th grade. The spring project again was mentioned. And then our Prop 28 art and music funding will enable us to add a science, technology, engineering, arts, and math teacher to support 4th and 5th grade to build their capacity in the arts in the area of daily instruction. Those are all the local measures. So the next step is now that the measures will be uploaded into the system. When the dashboard opens in October next year, we should be able to see that we've met all the standards. So we'd see a standard met under each of those priority areas, and it will be all displayed in the 2026 dashboard.
Thank you.
Any additional questions or comments? Thank you so much.
Welcome.
Okay, we're now going to move on to the 2025-26 Early Learning Update and CASP Program Self-Evaluation. CSPP.
Good evening, Board President, trustees, superintendent, everyone here, and everyone listening to us. My name is Fabiola Salceda, and I am the Director of Early Childhood Education. Fair warning, the presentation has almost as many slides as preschoolers have questions, but I promise it is because we do have a lot of great work that is happening, and we want to present that to all of you. So tonight I will be presenting a brief overview about what is happening in both of our programs at preschool, which is our California State Preschool Program, also known as CSPP, and our Play Pulse program funded through CSPP with program highlights, successes. We will be going into some data and reviewing some data, and then just looking forward on how are we going to continue our early learning growth and looking ahead. A little bit about the funding for California State Preschool Program. We do have 2 classes or part day program, which are offer AM and PM sessions, or AM 8 to 11 and our PMs 12 to 3. And we also have a full day program, which is 7:30 to 4:30 PM. Both of those programs are funded through the California State Preschool Program with the contract with the California Department of Education. And with that funding, we do follow specific requirements related to eligibility, family need, attendance, reporting, and contract compliance. It is provided free or low cost to early learning and care for eligible families. For children from 2.9 to entry to kindergarten. And with that, we also participate in Raising Quality Together and our Inclusive Early Education Expansion Program, or EAP grant. And then we have on the right side our Play Pulse Parent Participation Program, which is funded through First 5. And for that one, we also do have AM and PM sessions. We are actually offering 4 different sessions this year. Some of the highlights for California State Preschool Program is we have been doing a lot of outreach in the community. This past year, some of the pictures that you've seen in there are some of the outreach events that we have attended throughout the year. We expanded our full day access to meet the community needs. We noticed that there was a need in the community for more full day families, so we did open a second full day classroom this year. We served 142 preschool age children, 2.9 to 5, and 25, 26, 6 in part day, and 2 full day classes this year. And then we have our Teacher of the Year. I feel that as we move from our CSPP highlights into our program success, I want to first recognize a success that truly represents the heart of our work. Ms. Bang was named Teacher of the Year 25-26, and this recognition is not only a celebration of Ms. Bang, but also a reflecting of the caring, intentional, and high-quality teaching happening across our preschool classrooms. Her work reminds us that program success begins with the relationships, routines, and learning experiences children receive every day. I know she's listening to us. Congratulations, Ms. Bang. As we move on to our successes, we had many of them this year. Some of them were that we fully participated in the inclusion journey or year one, which has helped us deepen our work around belonging and access and supporting of all of our students. Raising quality together, huge achievement this year. We get review every 5 years, and this was a review year. And we continue in our tier 5, which is the highest. So that goes to congratulations to all of our staff as well, and all of our district team for supporting us in high quality early learning programs. We completed class observations. CLASS stands for classroom. Sorry, that's let's think of classroom assessment scoring systems. It is new, but not too new. It's been around since 2018. However, the California Department of Education has said that it now will be a requirement for CSPP programs to be part of the class observations and class environments. So now part of our contract starting last year, we need to do those observations in our CSPP classrooms. We completed both of them. I will be showing you some data on that in the next couple of slides. And then we also strengthened our social and emotional learning through the use of second step curriculum. It was our first year implementing that curriculum, and we're gonna be able to see on our data how our social and emotional learning also, there is an increase from the fall rating period to the spring. Some pictures in there are from the very first one is one of our teachers using the second step curriculum in the classroom with the students, and then the other pictures are just pictures of during the day that we had the planting foundation come to our site, and we had some family engagement in there, and then even children coming in and helping out to be part of that event. Then moving into some of our data, I would like to let you know a little bit about our data and how it is, what does that system looks like. So our desired results developmental profile, or DRDP assessments, has a chart, and for that assessment, it is used in early childhood programs to look at children's growth across key developmental areas. One important thing to know is that the DRDP developmental continue begins in early infancy with children as young as a couple of months old through entry to kindergarten. And because of that, we do not expect preschool age children to be at the very beginning levels, and we also do not expect them to be already at the highest level. So we do have the exploring, which is the yellow, the responding to earlier, that is the yellow, the exploring the green, and then building, and then once they go into kindergarten or purple area. So most preschoolers will typically fall within the exploring and the building areas, depending on their age, development, and the specific skills that are being observed. And then as children grow, they move toward later levels as they gain more independence, consistency, and skills. Part of this DREP is that teachers collect observations during everyday classroom routines, play, small groups, outdoor environments, and interactions. And this helps us look at a grow over time to celebrate the children's progress and identify where we can strengthen our instruction, or classroom supports, and family partnerships as well. And for our classroom assessment scoring system, we look at data based on measures, and it focuses on the quality of teacher-child interactions. It is not looking at the teacher's lesson plans or the classroom materials by themselves, but it looks at what children are experiencing throughout their daily interactions with adults. And we are getting observed by a qualified class observer. They look at everyone in the classroom, so including teachers, instructional assistants, any specialists that are in the classroom, everyone is being scored. And then for class, the scores go on a scale from 1 to 7. Score 1 and 2 are considered low range, 3 and 5 will be mid-range, and then 6 to 7 are high range. And the last data thing we will be looking at it will be our family surveys. For DRDPs on approaches to learning for self-regulations, we're able to see that from the fall to the spring, there is an increase, and as well as on our social and emotional. And there is a couple of pictures in there for you to see the learning that is happening that correlates to those domains. Then we have language and literacy, or math as well, and children are learning through play, so there is a couple of activities in there as well that they are doing. So like the second one on the left side, you see some students building some puzzles, and then you also see some other students building with some like materials and that we have in our block area. Both of them developmentally appropriate as they are learning math through play and through games. Then we have our physical development and health, and both of them are also measured. We also saw an increase both from fall to the spring. Love the picture on the left. All of the children got very creative with getting themselves and creating that, they called it their choo-choo train. And they just go around and see who hops around in that train, and they go around our campus on it. So it's pretty cute to watch. Then we have our one on the right, our director of nutrition. We were so fortunate to have her visit our campus and spend some time with our preschoolers while we were having some family meal styles, and she was having some interactions with our students. She came to all of our classrooms and enjoyed some family meal styles with our students, as well as asking questions and getting to see how we implement our family meal styles, and that goes to with our health as well. Then we have the PTKLF, long name, Preschool Transitional Kindergarten Learning Foundation, something new as well as we transition from the old standards or standards, the foundations. So the PTKL foundations are our standards for preschool that we use, that's what we use to measure instruction and what the children are going to be learning. And they also aligned with our DRDPs. There is a couple of pictures in there as well in the different domains. And then I have a video to show you in a few minutes. The picture on the right where you see children on the floor drawing and just having some meaningful conversations covers a lot and all of the different domains. And I have a video to show you that as well shortly, not yet. And then now we go into the fun stuff and looking at our data for class as well. As we can see, we were scoring three domains, right? Emotional support, classroom organization, and instructional support. And we are pretty high on both the emotional support and classroom organization. Instructional support was 3.96, which gives us a clear area to continue growing. This helps us guide our professional development around intentional teaching, language modeling, quality of feedback, and deeper concept development. One important thing to note about class is that the observation captures, like I said earlier, like the overall classroom experience for the children, and it is not only focused on the lead teacher. So it includes the interactions with children experiences with all of the adults in the classroom, including teachers, instructional assistants, and everyone else who is in the classroom while we do have those observations. Instructional support can be one of the most challenging areas because it looks closely at how adults assist children's thinking, ask open-ended questions, and provide meaningful feedback to the students to build language. However, something that we are currently doing to continue increasing in this area is we had developed Friday teen meetings where we work together with all of the classroom staffs and invite any other specialists to come and join us. And then we look at our data, and then we look at areas on how we can grow. We're still not too low. We're in the mid-range. Most in California, many programs, they are in the low area. So compared to other school districts, I feel confident that we're doing great in this area, and we're continuing to provide coaching and teaching to all of our staff.
The one area I noted said negative climate. It's a 1, which is in the low. I think it's the one area that's in the low range.
Yeah, and that's actually, we do want to see that as a low because we do not want any negative climate in the classrooms.
There you go. That's what I was hoping.
Yeah. And then our classroom assessment scoring system for the environment, it's also an observation happening alongside while the other class observation is happening. But this one, it's focusing more about the learning environment itself and the materials, the displays. So it lists us, I know it's pretty small in there, but it lists all of the different areas in the classroom, like the diversity of the materials, sensory materials, literacy, math, social and emotional learning. That's why there is so many, that's why our environments in the classrooms are so rich in materials and furniture, because we have to, in order for us to be this number and high, we need to ensure that we're addressing and having all of these materials in the classroom. The more materials that we have in the classroom and the way that we structure our classes and our programs, even though there is a lot of materials, because children at this age, they're so young and they're still learning how to problem solve, how to ask, how to share, right? The more materials we provide for them, the more that they're going to be able to use those materials to learn how to interact with other students and to share. So we're gonna probably see like two bikes, or like at least 2 toys of the same, because they're still learning how to play and how to share. So yes, there is a lot of materials in the classrooms, and this also shows us that there is going to be less behaviors in the classrooms because there is more opportunities for students to be able to expose to materials that they can use to learn their skills. And again, doing pretty well, 2.94. I am very proud to say that we are pretty high in there as well. Our school events, we had a great family engagement. It has been one of our major areas of strength through school events, multicultural celebrations, classroom activities, and families' participations. There is opportunities to continue building home-school connections. And we had a fall festival and a spring festival this year. And we can play the video. Thank you. That was part of our spring festival, our multicultural event, and children also just stood up and started dancing with our performance. So it was very nice too. We also had Santa visit this year. We had one of our teachers, dad, who volunteered to come and be Santa this year. I'm sorry, this year, but we will continue. Like we did had one parent that wanted to also come in and support, and we wanted to open that opportunity for them as well.
Mr. Evan comes with his own padding.
Getting brave, are we?
I could not resist.
It was really nice to watch too. Like he came and he read a book to the students, and it was nice to watch as well. We had our dental as well this year, and we had one outside. Our AM session was outside, and then our PM session, it got a little bit warmer, so we came inside one of our classrooms to do that dental, and it was full of laughs and fun entertainment for the students, and lots of questions as well. Oh, there. Thank you. Our parent survey data were very positive. Strongly agree 92.9, a couple of somewhat agree 5%, and not too many on the either on the unsure or the strongly disagree, showing lots of the caring and dedicated and supported teachers and staff, and families excited and happy to see their child's growth. We do have parent-teacher conferences twice a year, and they were excited to see their growth as well. The communication that our teachers are having with the families as well, and or events. We are an open. We do have an open door policy that is also part of our licensing and CSBP regulations. So families are welcome to come into our campus and anytime they'll like to come and visit us. Some data and self-evaluation and just some next steps is based on our data and self-evaluations. Our next steps are to continue using the data to guide early childhood programs across the district and strengthen early childhood education career pathways for staff, increase family voice through a parent advisory committee, and maximize enrollment by aligning program structure to community needs, which we started doing this year. These next steps will help us to continue improving access to quality and family partnership. And as part of these next steps, and for those of you listening and those of you who are present, we recently sent out a parent interest survey as we are exploring the possibility of opening a part-day classroom for 2-year-olds for the 26-27 school year. So please share it with friends, family, and the community. And this is just another example of how we're using family voice and community interest to guide our planning. On the pictures, we attended the Dial EE Institute at the beginning of the school year with our superintendent and our professional learning support teacher. On the first picture on the left, and then there's a couple of other pictures of training happening. So when we started implementing the second step curriculum, we had our PLSTs trained all of our staff on it, and then continue coaching them throughout the year. And now on to first 5. This one, it's a little bit shorter. But great data and great information. So wanted to share some of our highlights. We actually exceeded the children's serve requirement for the first 5 program. We offer 4 play groups with 10-week sessions. We met attendance, we exceeded our goal, and 3 of the 4 classes and a strong participation. Our requirement is 80 families, 80 children, and we actually had 98 children this school year. So we exceeded it. And it's 98 children, 81 parents, because some parents come with more than 1 child. For success through the use of the grant, there was a grant that was nearing expiration, and the first year that I was here, 23-24, and through that grant, I was able to get creative on and reaching out to them to see if we could if they would allow us to use that grant to continue improving the quality of our furniture and classrooms and our environments, and they agreed. So then we were able to use those funds to recreate. One of those will be like our first 5 program with like developmentally appropriate furniture for the children. You're able to see like smaller chairs for our younger learners. The furniture as well, the picture at the very top with our friend playing in the dramatic area with furniture about their size. And then also the toileting, that's my favorite, the toileting area, because we want families to help us in the toileting process and to learn the process, and for the children to not be scared to use the toilet, because many children can have like a sensory about like being scared about like even the sound of the toilet, the size of the toilet. So then we also recreated our toilet, and that one, it's a very tiny and small toilet, smaller than most of our toilets at our other sites. And then children are able to either get their diapers changed in the and the used in the diapering table, that it's pretty nice and comfortable for them as well. Or once they are ready, then they start learning how to use the toilet. Or we'll have like the parent that has the one that is getting ready for the toilet, and then the one that they're changing their diaper, and they're talking and having those interactions with them and helping them and saying like, hey, like, like your sibling, it's already using the toilet. Wow. Like, and just sharing out their successes. And some parent survey highlights, I won't be reading through all of them, but I grabbed a couple of the responses and then presented them in there for you. And some beautiful pictures of what is developmentally appropriate for our younger learners. And as you can see, some of them with even paint on their face, and that's okay. They're learning, they're developing their fine motor skills, and because their fine motor skills are not fully developed at that age yet, they do this and they go big and they use the entire paper, but that's how they're developing their fine motor skills. And looking ahead, we will continue using the RDP data to monitor students' growth across developmental areas, or class and our class environments data to strengthen interactions and learning environments, and family survey data to strengthen family-school connections. Our focus is also to continue growing with our families by increasing outreach, engagement, and family voice, using data to guide staff development, building excitement for the early childhood education career pathways, and continuing to grow as a strong and qualified early learning workforce. The pictures in there is just documentation of how do we do documentation on early learning. I grab a couple of pictures from some of our classrooms. The very first one, it's our teacher created a bulletin board so families are also able to see what is happening in those pictures. And then what she did is she grabbed some quotes and notes from the preschool transitional, the PTKL Foundation, our standards that we use in preschool, to show the families what their students are learning through the activities, through their day, through play. And then the second picture, the second bulletin board was actually, we listen a lot, we hear a lot about like, where is our student learning academically? When is my student going to be able to learn how to write? And then we talk about the stages of writing and how it all starts with the scribbles, and based on their development, it continues to improve. Just everyday growing and everyday growing with blossoms. Thank you. I have one more short video to show you that I promised at the beginning, but I wanted to also share with you some of our pictures of how we changed our environments from, I started in 2023. Our pictures on the left with the red frame are what our classrooms used to look, and then our pictures on the right is what they look like now. You are all welcome to come and visit our classrooms and see it in action as well.
I can outline it. Wow, that looks really good. Emily, what is that one? Yellow. Oh, mommy's gonna love that one. Ooh, what about you? Hey, take a look at Miranda. She filled it all in. Good job. Hey, 9. It's pretty bright. The sun will come. Okay, Miranda, I'm gonna outline yours, okay? You think tomorrow we'll be having what?
Thank you so much. Questions?
I just have like a question or a thought. Oh, first of all, thank you. This is really good. Like, thank you so much for sharing. The pictures are so cute. Thank you for sharing. I guess when you were talking, something that was floating around in my head, I guess it's a question for you, if there are any like longitudinal studies that are happening to show like, oh, like 90% of the students who did our preschool TK program
by third grade, they're reading at or above grade level, and like how are we like tracking the progress, and if that might create an opportunity for us to say like, hey, like our students did TK, like they're like prepared, but when they get to second grade, something happens where, you know, by the time they get to third grade, like they're falling behind, where we might be able to pinpoint some areas where we might be able to do some different interventions if our students aren't progressing the way that we hope that they would be.
Yeah, I had well, I'll second what Trustee Stark said, because I really would love to see the tracking between, from there throughout our program.
I don't have that information now, but I can definitely look at this year's third grade class and take a look to see if they participated in our TK program or pre-K program and compare that.
Any additional questions or comments? Thank you so very much. My grandson participates in the Play Pals programs. Well, both my kids went through Robla schools, and now both two of my grandkids are going through it. So my grandson loves it. So
Awesome.
thumbs up.
Thank you.
All right. All right, we're now going to move on to action items. We start with item A, approve tentative agreement between Robla School District and Robla Teachers Association for the 2026-2027 school year.
So moved.
Second.
Moved and seconded. Discussion?
Just really quickly, this is the agreement that we have with the teachers unit for just contract language changes. There's no monetary value to these changes as per the duration of the agreement. All the money was settled last year, carries through the end of next school year. That is also true for our management and administrative team, so you won't actually see any changes there coming to the board, as well as I'm sure Superintendent Chen shared with you that CSEA reported out that we really didn't have anything to talk about this year. So we didn't negotiate with that unit, but we do expect to resume negotiations for the 27-28 school year cycle with all units again. And this agreement took all of about 14 hours over a 4-day cycle, so probably the fastest on record.
Anything particular of note that we should let the public know about?
The one thing that is probably pretty notable is that one of the items was our review cycle. It carried over as an MOU from the last negotiation session, and we came to agreement on it this negotiation cycle. It did change a little bit about how we look at teacher evaluations. Probably more specifically as we moved away from using the SOAR teaching frames as our standard of measure, if you will, and moved back to the California State Teaching Standards, or the CSTPs, which is what they learn as they're going through their teaching programs and what they apply in their classrooms. So we felt it was, the bargaining unit as well as the district felt it was probably more appropriate for our teacher evaluation cycles.
Any additional discussion or debate? Hearing none, we'll move forward to a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Item B, approve policy number 5131.8, mobile communication devices.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Any discussion? Hearing none, we'll move forward to a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Item C, approve 2026-27 Expanded Learning Opportunities Program contract with the Roberts Family Development Center.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or debate?
Just wanted to say that the Freedom School program will be at 3 sites this upcoming year. They will remain at Taylor. We expanded the program at Glenwood, and we're adding it at Main Avenue.
Excellent. Any additional discussion or debate? Hearing none, we'll move forward to a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Item D, approve 2026-27 Local Control and Accountability Plan.
So moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded. Is there any discussion or debate? Hearing none, we'll move forward to a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Item E, approve and adopt the 2026-27 proposed annual budget.
But, I don't have D as, I have D as,
Oh,
yeah.
The LCAP.
didn't we just do the LCAP?
Yeah, we just did the LCAP. I have E as LCAP. I have D as annual budget.
Oh,
Do you have an LCAP? D, isn't it? D, LCAP. E is a budget.
Okay, well, then,
maybe just like exit out.
yeah,
That it was just, yeah.
okay.
Which one is the, well,
D is LCAP.
Yeah.
E is a budget, yeah.
so we just approved the LCAP.
Yeah.
Okay.
Now we're on budget.
I opened it up.
Okay, go ahead.
All right, we're on item E, approve and adopt the 2026-27 proposed annual budget.
So moved. Second.
Been moved and seconded, discussion. Public comment?
Good evening, President DeLuce, trustees, Superintendent Chen. I just wanted to speak a little on the budget. I had some time to look at it and sat with some community members as this is coming forward. And I want to acknowledge, first of all, how difficult it is to put a budget together. So thank you for putting all 127 pages very well. And I debated whether commenting on this earlier during the consent agenda or now during the budget approval process. But I decided to speak now because ultimately it's about fiscal transparency and the major decisions that go in this budget. I want to be clear that I support, and I think our community for the most part and overwhelmingly supports Robla schools, and our students deserve safe classrooms, modern facilities, strong programs, and learning environments that reflect the value of community. And we also understand how, and I understand how complex it is to form an operable budget in times like this especially. The budget also discusses, so at the same time, the budget shows why careful planning matters. The proposed budget shows approximately $45.1 million in the general fund revenue and approximately a $46.9 million expenditure. So that results, as you all know, and I hope you know, in an approximate deficit of about $1.78 million. At the last meeting where this was proposed, I think it was still thrown up as a possibility of it happening, with the governor setting aside $3.8 billion. And during the last board meeting, that $3.8 billion went through the state legislature. So Robla is looking at an approximate $1.2 million potential funding impact. So that's the context that I'm commenting this on. Earlier tonight, the board approved I think a pretty major facilities program management proposal through the consent agenda. And I understand this has already been voted on, so it's more of a possibly something for communication for next time. But the approved proposal appears to charge a 5% of final completed construction cost toward Hickey and Hickey Incorporated. The proposal's own example shows a $1 million project would result in a $50,000 program management fee, with our projected deficit and funding impact due to Prop 98, which is a $1.2 million I mentioned earlier. I'm sure that you can acknowledge how having an open-ended agreement with that 5%, when most districts cap their expenditure agreements with consultants, can have a very negative impact on the budget that not only affects overall planning, but the classrooms directly. I also want to note that for the record, I didn't see an agreement clearly identified or this impact clearly identified in the budget, either named or a projected proposal. If this cost is included within a broader service facilities or capital project category, then I believe for the districts, for the community's own sake, that deserves to be a little more transparent with the community. Going forward, I hope that future budgets update clearly show the consultant fees paid reflected in the budget, facility project costs or approximations, timelines, change orders, and variables. And I offer this in good faith. I think our community is extremely invested in our district. And when things like this come up, it's only a matter of time before the transparency starts to lose itself more and more. So I appreciate the budget and a lot of the good areas that this focuses on, but I think especially that 5% spending really adds a bit of a damper to the transparency that we're trying so hard to provide to our community. Thank you.
Thank you. Maybe Mr. Martin can identify where in the budget the facilities funds are located in the budget.
So there are specific funds that are dedicated towards facilities and construction. And as part of that allocation, the consultant fee would be paid out of those funds. It would not be paid out of the general fund.
And then, I thank you for that question because I definitely had a very similar question or concern about that 5% fee. And so I don't know if you can talk a little bit about what that means and how that actually is a positive impact versus what another option could or would look like.
Absolutely. Just to give, hold on. Just to give a little information, a 5% consulting fee is common in the industry, right? If I were to use a number that we were working with during the facilities master plan of about $7 million over 5 years, 5% is $350,000. Over 5 years, that's $70,000 a year, and that is much more affordable because we would not be able to hire any staff at that amount each year, right? We currently do not have staff that has the facilities knowledge or expertise to see a project from beginning to completion. We are continuing to build our staff's capacity, and we will explore if there's a situation where we are considering a bond, which is bigger measure, right? We would have a different approach. We're looking to have an in-house person with that knowledge, right? And the contracts for all consulting contracts for any facilities is project-based. So while this is, it sounds like a 5-year agreement, it actually is just project-based. And at the facilities master plan, facilities master plan workshop, we agreed to revisit the facilities master plan on a yearly basis, right? And at any time, our situations can change, then the contract is, I want to say terminated, right? In all of our contracts, there is a language that allows a termination of the contract, if we need it. But it is right now, just focusing on those projects, the top 5 projects from the facilities workshop, we do not have staff that has the expertise or knowledge. And so we are building that, but we will revisit it at least on a yearly basis.
That feel okay?
Thank you. And I think the clarification came in, the concern came in, so that clarification was great. My concern came in with the now potential $2 million deficit, and I don't know how the numbers add up directly with the May revise. And in research, I think it stood out that we don't have a cap on how much that 5% is, right? So Los Banos, what they typically do is a 3.8, which I think is more common in the smaller school districts. But I understand that the 5-year plan and the revisiting, the concern ultimately, and I know this isn't an agenda item, but affects the budget, is that language that you mentioned, which is helpful, was not anywhere in the proposal that Ron Hickey provided. So I appreciate that because that's super helpful. Thank you.
Something, one, really appreciate you asking the question. That's one of the reasons why when we were going through kind of the changes in how we're doing the consent agenda, that would have been a great time to say, we have a question on that. And because it is helpful because we do need to explain stuff like that. Understanding that, especially when you are a smaller district and most of what you're dealing with are smaller projects, I'll be honest with you, there is a challenge, and it is very, very important to have someone who has the expertise to be able to manage those. It would be great if we had the resources to have someone in-house, but in this particular case, if we had someone in-house, we would probably be paying them a lot more than we would be paying in this case, a consultant in order to be able to handle that. One of the advantages and one of the things I really appreciate about how Robla has historically handled our budgets is we've pretty much been very, very fiscally responsible. And I've been on the board now, I'm on my 22nd year, and this was a tradition we had before I got here. So, but what it has allowed us to do is when there are rough times, when you do have to deficit spend, that's the reason why you have That's the reason why you want to have a solid reserve, so that you can still go about addressing the needs of students. You can still provide the resources that they need, while at the same time taking whatever cuts need to be made, whatever reductions in spending need to be made, and you're able to spread them out a little bit more. Like you, I am concerned about deficit spending, and I think both our administrative staff and fellow board members will tell you we're constantly talking about how we can plan not just for this upcoming year, but for future years, how we can make those sorts of programmatic adjustments that will have a minimum impact on students while making sure that we're balancing our budget. I'm proud to say I don't think I've ever had a time on this board when we have not had a positive budget rating, and I don't know how many districts can say that. But once again, I very much appreciate you asking those questions, because I think they were very well founded and addressed and brought forth information that the community needed to hear. Thank you. Is there any additional discussion or debate? Hearing none, we will move forward to a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Item F, approve the 2026-27 consolidated application.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion.
The consolidated application is the district's application to the state of California, Department of Education, for federal funding. It is the way that we receive funding. The process is that the Parent Advisory Committee and English Learner Advisory Committee approves us applying for the funding. We bring it to you for approval as well. And what it does is just opens up the window for us to receive federal funds, Title I, Title II, Title III, Title IV.
Any additional discussion or debate? Hearing none, we'll move forward to a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Item G, approve the 2026-27 service contract with Wayfinder Curriculum and Support Services.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion.
So Wayfinder, I referred to Wayfinder earlier in my discussion on the local indicators. Wayfinder is an online system that is a social emotional learning platform. We had discussions over this school year at looking at different platforms to have our social emotional learning curriculum on. We're piloting Wayfinder for this upcoming school year. Some of the assets with Wayfinder that we really liked about it is it has supports for the classroom teacher. It has supports for Tier 2 and Tier 3 supports for students. So that's with the social workers, psychologists working with students. It has lessons for the classroom teacher that can be implemented whole class, as well as individual small things for small groups. SIPA, the Child Internet Protection Act, has lessons for meeting that requirement, which we do need to do for our E-rate. It also has bullying prevention lessons embedded that are also available to all the staff. And the way that the platform is designed is it can be used as an in-class curriculum. It can be used as a pull-out small group curriculum. It can be used as a whole site. There's little 10-minute mini lessons. So it's quite extensive. I was actually pretty impressed. And the one thing I loved about it the most is principals can assign certain topics that need to be covered by teachers. So they can assign, say, hey, I need you to do these bullying prevention units. And the units are all, and the lessons are all separated by grade level.
Any additional discussion or debate? Hearing none, we'll move forward to a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Item H, approve 2026-27 professional services contract with 4R Hearing Center for student hearing screening services.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion.
This actually is a company that we use for our hearing screening. We were unsure during publication if it was our regular company or new company. Otherwise, this would have been in consent.
Okay. Any additional discussion or debate? Hearing none, we'll move forward to a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Item I, approve 2026-27 professional services contract with Hoffman Optometry for student vision screening services.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion?
Same situation. We would put it in consent next year.
Any additional discussion or debate? Hearing none, we'll move forward to a vote. All in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Item J, approve and adopt consolidation and specifications of election resolution number 952.
So moved.
Second.
Been moved and seconded. Discussion?
Should we explain what this is?
I'm sorry, I didn't read it. This is the official notification that for general elections in November, that we will have 3 open seats. And so we need to inform the county. Well, the public, yes. We need to inform the public that there'll be 3 official seats. And those incumbent seats are President DeLuz, Trustee Cardona, and Trustee Hamilton Starks. We need to inform the county superintendent's office by July 3rd, and anyone interested needs to indicate by August 7th, 5 p.m. and apply.
Filing opens in July.
July.
Filing
Yes.
opens in July, and paperwork has to be submitted by the August deadline.
In South Sac, off of
65th.
Stockton Boulevard. I
65th.
65th in
Right off
Stockton,
of
yes.
65th Street, right there off of Florin Road.
And quick question, I know in previous years, we did not charge for people to add their names to the ballot for this position. Will we still be not charging? Thank you.
If you elect to do a ballot statement, then there is a fee for the ballot statement.
Okay,
If there's no seats that are nothing is contested, then that fee is then returned, because obviously it wouldn't be, there would not.
okay, because I did a ballot statement when I first ran and I wasn't charged, so that's what I was checking on.
Okay, is there any additional discussion or debate? Hearing none, we'll move forward to a vote. All those in favor, please say aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Motion carries unanimously. Now we'll move on to board member requests for future agenda items or reports. Trustee Devine.
Nothing at the, oh, actually, I want to tell everybody to have a beautiful summer. And for all of our families that will be attending our summer programs, have fun, stay nice and cool, and enjoy learning over the summer and having fun and playing with your friends.
Trustee Cardona.
Nothing to.
Trustee Barnes. Trustee Hamilton Starks.
Nothing at this time.
All right. And I would just like to request for a future agenda item for a report would be on our, and I forgot the name of it, Hazel Health, for a report on Hazel Health. We haven't had one on that in quite a while. And that will be it. And with that, this meeting is adjourned.